Okay, there we go, ready to go. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Dia Koroe Dase Trina Bekatina Kripa Bindu Dia Koroe Dase Trina Bekatina Sakala Sahane Pulau dia Goro Need your money Spriyaina Sakala Sane Pulau dia Goro Need your money Spriyaina Sakale Saman Uritejikati Deonata Yata Yata Sakale Samana Goritejikati Deonata Jata Jata Tapedo Gativo Uri Namasuke Aparada Oi Beada Tapedo Gativo Uri Namasuke Aparada Kapihelo Kripa Lopia Jana Kritata Loibenata Kapihelo Kripa Lopia Jana Kritata Loibenata Shakti Boli Hen Hami Atitin Goro More Atma Sada Shakti Boli Hen Hami Atitin Goro More Atma Sada Yogyata Vichare Junai Pai Nomara Karuna Sara Yogyata Vichare Junai Pai Nomara Karuna Sara Coronana Oile Dia Kania Pranana Rakimura Corona Oibe Kania Pranana Rakimura pop into tia, roll away, that's say, Trina Pecadina. Quit pop into tia, roll away, that's say, Trina Pecadina. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Paravanicacharya, Osatana, Sitashi, Shimad. His Divine Grace Savaya Jagannath Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Gijai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kijai Vrindavanam Kijai Maturanam Kijai Jagannath Swami Kijai Yamunamai Kijai Shrimati Lasi Devi Kijai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Kijai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees. All glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gaurvani Pacharni, Nivashesha Shunyavadi, Paschachati Shatarni. So, let me read the translation of this poem. Gurudev, give this servant just one drop of mercy. I'm lower than a blade of grass. Give me all help. Give me strength. Let me be as you are without desires or aspirations. Gurudev, I offer you all respects, for thus I may have the energy to know you correctly. Then by chanting the holy name in great ecstasy, all my offenses will cease. When will such mercy fall to this one who is weak and devoid of intelligence? Allow me to be with you. If you examine me, you will find no good qualities. Your mercy is all that I am made of. If you are not merciful unto me, I can only weep, and I will not be able to maintain my life. So this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur Jai. So we are going to continue with our study of the Caitanya Bhagavat. And we are on the 13th chapter of the Caitanya Bhagavat. And the 13th chapter of the Caitanya Bhagavat deals with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talking to the conquering pandit, the Digvijayi. And we read that story yesterday, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated the conquering pandit and revealed to the conquering pandit who he was. And actually, Saraswati, the conquering pandits, sorry, I have to quiet my phone. The conquering pandits, worshipful deity Saraswati, told the conquering pandit, don't reveal this to anyone. And if you reveal it to anyone, you will die. So there's some indication that the pandit did reveal to everybody. And there's some indication that he died. Anyway, of course, he went back to Godhead because he had the association of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are at the end of this particular story where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving advice to this conquering pandit. And you'll hear this advice, which is applicable for all of us. It's about not being filled with pride. Many of us are filled with pride because of our position, because of our intelligence, because of our beauty, because of our good birth. We have a number of reasons why we're proud, or because of money. So Krishna cuts down that pride And he makes one understand that one is a humble servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And whatever you have, as we mentioned before yesterday, is talent, beauty, money on loan from God. God has lent it to you. It ain't yours. It belongs to him. As Krishna says in the Gita, the intelligence of the intelligent, the strength of the strong. So this is the nature of God. Whatever quality you have is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because you are part and parcel. Even your individuality is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because you are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let us continue with the Caitanya Bhagavat. So Omaganata Minanasha Gananjana Shilakaya Chakshur Vidikam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual masters, Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So let's share the screen to go to the Caitanya Bhagavat. All right, here we go. And let me just adjust a few things here. Oh, where's that window? Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. Just pull up a little window here on the screen, not a window in real life. Know without doubt that the goal of knowledge is to fix one's mind on Krishna's lotus feet. The best advice I can give you is that devotional service of the Supreme Lord Vishnu is the only substantial truth throughout all the worlds. That's the only reason to get knowledge or to get any information. After saying this, the Lord embraced the Brahmin in satisfaction. Being embraced by the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Brahmin was freed from all material bondage. Wow. Then the Lord said, O Brahmana, give up your pride, worship Krishna, and be merciful to all living entities. What Saraswati told you in confidence should not be told to anyone. If one discloses topics that are more confidential than those of the Vedas, then know for certain that his duration of life is diminished and his advancement in the next life will be checked. Oh my God. This is really interesting. If one reveals, the commentators are really interesting. If one reveals the confidential meaning of a mantra, he is not actually benefited in this world. Rather, the speaker only gains a shortened lifespan for endeavoring to reveal the mystery. Wow. In other words, that's the offense on chanting. That if you reveal or explain the glories of the Lord or the Lord's mantra to those who are not capable of understanding it, then your duration of life becomes shortened. Wow. In other words, you have to be really careful what you say. So, therefore, okay, gang, one should not talk about the intimate pastimes of Krishna publicly, because you're going to actually shorten your lifespan. I wouldn't want to do that. So if one reveals the purport of the most confidential Vedic mantras to faithless persons, here's the point, then those unfortunate persons will misuse the purport of the mantras by preaching mundane Maur, Sahaja, and Smarta philosophies as the path of devotional service. Therefore, even the mistake of accepting an unqualified disciple yields adverse results. You know, wow. You have to be really careful. So these are deviant Vaishnava sects of all those people who take things very cheaply and or dress up. You know, for example, like if I start explaining about Radha and Krishna and everything very, intimate stuff about Radha and Krishna to people, people will think, oh, I can achieve this by dressing up as a gopi. And so you'll have men dressing up as a gopi, and they're pretty ugly gopis. And then Sahaja, the same thing. And smarta, or you'll have people who are just like proud of what they know and just showing it off to others. I know so much, I'm showing it off, and oh, getting so much adulation from it. Smarta basically means you know all these different like rituals and everything like that. So even the mistake of accepting an unqualified disciple yields adverse results. Phew. Oh my God. Krishna save me. After receiving the Lord's instructions, that best of the Brahmanas offered repeated obeisances to the Lord. Then, after offering repeated obeisances to the Lord, the Brahmana departed in great satisfaction. On receiving the Lord's instructions, renunciation, knowledge, and devotional service immediately manifested in the body of the Brahmana. The Digvijaya's pride was immediately destroyed, and he became more humble than a blade of grass. Wow. Wow. Keshava Bharati gave up gave up his pride as a Digvijayi and was initiated by the Lord into the Trinadapi Suricha verse. Wow. That's Shikshastika. Trinadapi Surichena, Tarariva Sahishna, Amanina Amanadena Kirtaniya Sarahari. He then gave up all his elephants, horses, palanquins, wealth, and whatever assets he had in charity to suitable persons. In this way, the Digvijayi continued his travels as a detached person. Such are the pastimes of Sri Gaura Sundara. Wow, what a nice explanation. The natural characteristics of his mercy is that a person renounces even the position of a king to take the position of a mendicant. So I'll read the purport here. The devotees of Sri Gaura Sundara actually follow in his footsteps by giving up their name and fame to accept the role of beggars. Tri Dandi Sannyasi, that means a sannyasi who gives his body, mind, and words, that's Tri, three, to the service of the Lord. In other words, they give up the pride of Kshatriyas and Vaishyas and become established in Brahminical principles. The Gora Nagaris and other Apasampradayas, like the householder bolas, transform ingredients meant for the service of Sri Gaura Sundara into items for their own enjoyment. And so the Gora Nagaris, they're actually take Lord Chaitanya as a material enjoyer and then they imitate. Anyway, such endeavors are extremely adverse to the devotional service of Gora. So in other words, humility is the price that one has to pay for becoming Krishna conscious or getting Krishna's mercy. You know, that's why Lord Chaitanya listed as one of his Shikshastra verses. The prime example of this in Kali Yuga is Shri Dabira Kas, who left a kingdom to live in the forest. That's, of course, Rupa Goswami, Dabira Kas, Shakara Malik, and Sanatana Goswami. They had oceans of gold, boatloads full of gold. Even when Krishna's servants obtain that for which everyone in the world works hard, they easily give it up. Like that story of Sanatana Goswami and the touchstone. He threw it in the garbage. He wasn't interested. One finds happiness in kingly opulences only when he does not know the glorious happiness derived from devotional service. Very important verse. Leaving talks of happiness from kingly opulence far aside, the devotees of Krishna consider even the happiness derived from liberation as insignificant. Not only insignificant, as hell. Because just liberation without Krishna consciousness means no activities, no nectar. Nothing is obtained without the Lord's merciful glance. Therefore, the Vedas enjoin one to worship the Supreme Lord. Haribol. The Digvijaya was thus delivered from material life. Such are the wonderful narrations of Sri Gaura Sundara. Soon everyone in Navadvip heard that Sri Gaura Sundara defeated the Digvijayi. People were all astonished, and they said, Nimai Pandit is a great scholar. He has even defeated the Digvijayi. They have never heard of such a learned scholar as Nimai. The pride of Nimai Pandit is justified, and now his reputation is spread. Someone said, if this Nimai studies logic, he will certainly become a Bhattacharya. Someone else said, oh brother, let us all together award him the title of Bhari Singha, means a lion. Oh, Bhari Singha is the name of a Vaishnava from the line of Ramanuja. He was like a lion in destroying the philosophy of monism. It is to be understood that previously, whenever a scholar defeated another scholar, he was awarded the title Bhari Singha. Singha is lion. Yet even after seeing all this, the influence of the Lord's illusory energy is such that people still did not understand him. In this way, everyone in Navadvip broadcasts the pure glories of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the residents of Navadvip who have the ability to see all these pastimes. Whoever hears the topics of Lord Gauranga defeating Digvijayi is never defeated anywhere. Haribo! Whoever hears the enchanting scholastic pastimes of Lord Gauranga will certainly become his servant. Wish I was his servant. Accepting Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu as my life, and so I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Thus ends this English translation of the Gaudiya Bhasha commentary on Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, Adhikanda, chapter 13, entitled Defeating Digvijayi. Okay, chapter 14, and I'm not going to read the chapter summary. That will destroy all the suspense. Okay. All glories to the Supreme Lord, Shigora Sundara. All glories to Nityananda's beloved Lord, who has an eternal form. All glories to him who is the life of Sri Pradyumna Mishra. All glories to him who is the goal of life for Sri Paramananda Puri. All glories to him who is the life and soul of all Vaishnavas. O Lord, please deliver the fallen souls with your merciful glance. My dear brothers, please hear with attention the topics of Adhikanda, wherein the pastimes of Krishna in the form of a Brahman are described. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha continually enjoyed his scholastic pastimes with his students. The Lord enjoyed scholastic pastimes with his students throughout all the villages of Navadvip. Everyone throughout Navadvip heard that Nimai Pandit was the crest jewel among the teachers. Even the wealthy materialists would get down from their palanquins to offer respects to Nimai. Everyone was filled with awe and reverence on seeing the Lord. There was no one in Navadvip who was not under his control. Whenever any resident of Navadvip would perform any pious act, he would, without fail, first send some foodstuffs and cloth to the Lord's house. The Lord displayed the pastime of a munificent person, for this is the nature of the Supreme Lord. He constantly gave gifts to the poor. Whenever Gaurahari met a poor person, he would immediately give him rice, cloth, and money out of compassion. Guests would daily visit the Lord's house, and he would always properly satisfy every one of them. Sometimes 10 or 20 sannyasis would come, and the Lord would happily invite them for lunch. That's actually the householder's duty. He would immediately send someone to inform his mother to quickly arrange lunch for the 20 sannyasis. As there was nothing at home, Mother Sachi thought, how will I prepare meals for 20 sannyasis? As soon as she thought like this, someone came and delivered the necessary ingredients without her notice. Lakshmi Devi, that's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first wife, cooked the offering with full satisfaction, and the Lord arrived home. The Lord personally watched that the sannyasis were served their meal. After they were fully satisfied, he bid them farewell. In this way, the merciful Lord inquired about the needs of every one of his guests. Mahaprabhu taught the householders, the foremost duty of a householder is to serve his guests. So if any of you are householders there, That's a lesson for you. If the household does not serve his guests, he is considered lower than the birds and the beasts. Ooh. If due to his previous impious activities he does not have anything, then he should satisfy his guests with a straw mat, some water, and a place to lie down. In the houses of pious people, there may be a scarcity of rice or other staples due to poverty, but a straw mat, water, a resting place, and sweet words should always be available for serving guests. This is actually important instruction. If one has nothing more to offer, he should apologize without duplicity, then he is not guilty of neglecting his guests. If a householder happily serves his guests without duplicity according to his ability, he is considered hospitable. Therefore, the Lord personally invited his guests with great respect. All those guests were most fortunate, for they received foodstuffs directly from Lakshmi Narayan, that's Lord Chaitanya and his wife. Foodstuffs so wonderful that are desired by even the demigods headed by Brahma were now eaten by one and all. In reply to this, someone said, "It is not possible for ordinary persons to receive such foodstuffs." Brahma, Shiva, Shukadev, Vyasadeva, Narada, as well as the demigods and siddhas who travel according to their desire, all knew that Lakshmi Narayan had appeared in Navadvip. They therefore all visited the Lord's house to beg alms in the form of mendicants. Otherwise, who else has the power to visit his house? And who other than personalities like Brahma can receive such foodstuffs? Someone else said, the Lord has incarnated to deliver the distress, and he therefore employs various means for their deliverance. The demigods headed by Brahma are born from the limbs of the Supreme Lord, and they are always associated with the Lord. Still, in this incarnation, he has promised to give that which is rarely attained even by Brahma. Therefore, the Lord personally fed the distressed in his house in order to deliver them. Oh, okay. Lakshmi Devi cooked alone, yet she felt supremely blissful. As the fortunate Mother Sachi observed the character of Lakshmi, her joy increased every hour of the day. Beginning from sunrise, Lakshmi would personally perform all the household chores as her religious duty. She would decorate the floor of the temple with trorians, those swastikas, conchas, and discs. All right. She arranged sandalwood paste, flowers, incense, ghee, lamps, and scented water for the worship of Lord Vishnu. She constantly served Tulasi, yet she served Shachi even more. Well, did I miss anything? No. Seeing Lakshmi's behavior, Sri Gaurasundara did not comment, yet he was satisfied within. Some days Lakshmi would sit and hold the Lord's feet for hours. Mother Sachi sometimes saw brilliant, effulgent flames emanating from the feet of her son, because Lakshmi Devi is Lakshmi. And Lord Chaitanya is Narayan. Another day, Mother Sachi smelled the fragrance of lotus flowers throughout her house. As Lakshmi and Narayan secretly lived in Navadvip in this way, no one was able to recognize them. After a few days, the independent Lord desired to go to visit East Bengal, which is now known as Bangladesh. The Lord had told his mother, "Dear mother, I will go on a journey for a few days." Sri Gaurasundara then said to Lakshmi, "You should constantly serve mother." Then the Lord took some of his students and happily departed for East Bengal. Whoever saw the Lord in his travels could not take his eyes off him. The women said, "Glorious is she who has such a son. We offer our obeisances to her. Fortunate is she who has such a husband. The life of that chaste lady has become successful." In this way, all the ladies and men who saw the Lord as he passed by repeatedly glorified him in full satisfaction. The Lord, whom even the demigods desire to see, now mercifully appeared before the vision of everyone. In this way, Gaurasundara arrived in a few days at the bank of the Padmavati River. That's where Narottama Das Thakur appeared. After Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his love of Krishna in the Padmavati River. The current of the Padmavati River is most charming, and her fine banks are covered with forest groves. Seeing the Padmavati, the Lord joyfully took bath with his students. Since that day, the fortunate Padmavati River became fit to sanctify the entire world. Wow. The Padmavati River appeared most beautiful, being decorated with enchanting waves, banks, and flowing current. The Lord was so pleased to see the Padmavati that he remained there for a few days to increase her good fortune. Just as the Lord had joyfully sported in the waters of the Ganges with his students, now the Padmavati achieved the same good fortune as the Lord daily sported in her waters. Because Sri Gaurachandra entered East Bengal, it is considered glorious even today. People were overjoyed to hear that Gaurachandra was staying on the banks of the Padmavati River. News soon spread in all directions. The crest-jeweled teacher's Nimai Pandit has arrived on the banks of the Padmavati River. The fortunate Brahmins all came to welcome the Lord with various gifts. Coming before the Lord, they offered their obeisances and humbly spoke as follows. We consider ourselves most fortunate because of your arrival here. That rare touchstone to whom we were to go with friends and money to study under in Navadvip has now been brought to our doorstep by providence. There's no other teacher like you, for you are like the incarnation of Brahaspati. Rather, to compare you with Brahaspati is insufficient. We consider you a portion of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, such knowledge is not possible in anyone other than the Supreme Lord. This is our firm conviction. Now we have one request. Please give us all some knowledge. O best of the Brahmanas, please hear us. We study, teach, and accept only your explanations. Now please accept us as your students and let the entire world sing your glories. The Lord smiled and agreed to their request. Thus he enjoyed pastimes in East Bengal for some days. Due to this good fortune, the men and women of East Bengal engage in Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement even today. That's true in Bangladesh. Sometimes sinful persons try to mislead people by accepting their homage for themselves. In order to fulfill their bellies, these sinners cheat people by claiming to be Lord Ram or Krishna. Other sinful persons give up chanting the names of Krishna and claim to be Narayan. They then induce others to chant their glories. How can an insignificant person who daily goes through the three states shamelessly induce others to chant his glories? Okay, so in the commentary it's explained the three states of a person are gross, subtle, and causal, which means wakefulness, dream, and deep sleep, or past, present, and future. There's three types of three. The gross body, subtle body, and the causal body, your karma. Then there's the wakefulness, the three stages of consciousness, dreaming, sleep, and deep sleep. And three stages are past, present, and future. These states are prone to be agitated by material nature and time. There's an all-powerful Brahma deity in Radhadesh. Although he externally dresses like a Brahmana, internally he is a demon. Oh, who's that? Maybe we'll hear about it. That sinful person advertised himself as Gopal, and people therefore call him a jackal. Jackal. Oh my God. There's so many jackals around nowadays. Okay. Whew. Long purport. Anyone who accepts someone other than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Lord is fallen, insignificant, and fit for living in hell. So I guess that applies to people who worship anyone else as God. Ooh. I therefore raise my two arms and boldly declare, Sri Gauranga is the Lord of innumerable universes. One is free from all bondage simply by remembering him. Indeed, even by remembering his servants, one is always victorious. Wow. Giving up all evil ways, worship the feet of such a Lord, whose glories are chanted throughout the entire world. In this way, Sri Gaura Chandra, the Lord of Vaikuntha, happily enjoyed his scholastic pastimes in East Bengal. The Lord attracted a large number of students in East Bengal, and he would often wander on the banks of the Padmavati River. He had thousands and thousands of students there, so it is difficult to know who studied with whom. People from all over East Bengal came rushing to study under Nimai Pandit. The Lord taught them in such a merciful way that within 2 months everyone became learned. Hundreds of students received titles and returned home, and hearing about this, many new students joined. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha enjoyed scholastic pastimes while staying in East Bengal. Meanwhile, in Navadvip, Lakshmi was in great distress due to separation from the Lord. She did not reveal this to anyone. She kept always engaged in the service of Mother Sachi without eating anything since the Lord's departure. Wow. She accepted some rice only in name, for she was deeply distressed in separation from the Lord. She passed the nights alone, crying incessantly. Wow. Her heart found no relief for even a moment. Eventually, Lakshmi could no longer tolerate separation from the Lord, and she desired to go join him. Lakshmi left a replica body on the bank of the Ganges in this world and went invisibly to the side of the Lord. So remember, Lakshmi is Lakshmi. So the Chaitanya chapter, I'm going to read this. This is important, the replica body. It is stated, because the Lord was engaged in various ways of preaching work in East Bengal, his wife, Lakshmi Devi, was very unhappy at home in separation from her husband. The snake of separation bit Lakshmi Devi, and its poison caused her death. Thus she passed to the next world. She went back home, back to Godhead. The replica body and disappearance of Lakshmi Devi explained as follows. Sri Lakshmi Priya Devi is the internal spiritual potency of Gaura Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahalakshmi is described in the Gaura Ganadesh Tipika 45 as follows. She who previously appeared as Sri Janaki, Rukmini, and Lakshmi has now appeared as Lakshmi in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the Sanskrit book, Chaitanya Charitamrita Mahavakya, it is stated, this Lakshmi of Navadvip is the incarnation of that Lakshmi of Vaikuntha, and Lakshmi is personally incarnated in this world. While describing Mahalakshmi, Krishna's queens and the gopis of Braj, Srila Jiva Prabhupada, that's Jiva Goswami, stated in his Sri Krishna Sandarbha. In the second Bhagavat Sandarbha, it has been established that the Lord is the Supreme Absolute and that he has two energies. Of the first is related to the Lord and is his internal potency and is as worshipable to the Vaishnavas as the Lord himself. The Supreme Lord's supreme position is due to this Swarupa Shakti, that means his own form potency. The second Maya is fit, like the material world, to be neglected by the Vaishnavas. She is the transformation of the Lord's energy. The manifestation of this world is due to this Bahiranga Maya Shakti, or the illusory external energy. So, in other words, there's the internal potency, which is called the Swarup Shakti, Swa, his, Rup, form, potency, Shakti, and that internal potency, internal energy of the Lord, becomes transformed to manifest the external potency. Like Bahir means outside. Like we have this Bahir Nishingo today, and Nishingo, like Lord Nishingo is in the heart, he's outside. Bahir Nishingo today, Nishingo, Nishingang Madim, Nishanam Braj, Prapade. So Bahir Anga, so it's its expansion, or anga, limb, Maya, Shakti, and illusory. Of these two potencies, the word Lakshmi is used to indicate the former, the Swarup Shakti, the internal potency of the Lord. Just as the word Bhagavata is used to indicate the person who possesses these two energies. This is also clearly shown in the Bhagavat Sandarbha in the two cities, Mathura and Dwarka. This Swarup Shakti is known as Shri Mahishi, the queens of Krishna. So there's Rukmini, and Rukmini expands as the other queens. Since it's clearly stated in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad that the Lord's unmanifest pastimes, that means in the spiritual world basically, or the pastimes that were not manifest in the material world, Shri Rukmini eternally resides in Mathura. All other queens must also reside there. It is also stated therein that the queens of Krishna are related to him as belonging to the category of his Swarup Shakti, that means his internal or spiritual potency. Therefore, in their position as Swarup Shakti, they are necessarily of the same position as Lakshmi. In this way, the queens of Krishna are naturally confirmed as belonging to the Lord's Swarup Shakti, the internal potency. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:69 is stated, the Lord assumes various forms to enact his pastimes, and he was pleased that the form that the goddess of fortune Rukmini had assumed was just suitable for her to serve as his consort. The meaning of this verse is very clear. Therefore, since Rukmini assumed a form suitable to serve the Lord, she is certainly on the level of Lakshmi. And since Lakshmi, who is famous as the goddess of Vaikuntha, is merged within Rukmini, Mahalakshmi Rukmini has the internal mood of Lakshmi and is complete in every respect. So, in other words, Lakshmi is part, the mood of Lakshmi, okay, even though they're the same person, as part and parcel of Rukmini, and Rukmini is more exalted than me, and even more exalted than Rukmini is Srimati Radharani, who has within her the mood of Rukmini and the mood of Lakshmi. Because from Srimati Radharani, who is the original potency of the Lord, the Adi Shakti, comes the other gopis, of course the principal gopis, the other gopis, and then ultimately the queens in Dwarka. Okay, and from them come Lakshmi. Because the spiritual energy or Swarup Shakti and the energetic, or that's Krishna, or Shakti Mam, are completely free of differences, non-different, different and non-different simultaneously. There cannot be any relationship between them as found between a subject and object of comparison. Therefore, between them, there is an absence of similarity as in the difference between an actual object and a shadow or reflection. In other words, they are non-different or one. We'll have to explain that. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:60-44, Rukmini personally speaks the following words. O Lotus-eyed one, although you are satisfied within yourself and thus rarely turn your attention toward me, please bless me with steady love for your feet. In this statement, Rukmini is removing Krishna's doubt or objection. If you say, I'm personally self-satisfied, so how can I have attachment for you? In reply, I say that your vision is indifferent, or in other words, you are omnipotent. You look at me, your Swarup Shakti, and you yourself as inseparable. It's one and different simultaneously. It's really important to understand that Chincha Bheda Tagwa. Rukmini, it's like the sun again, just to use the example. Prabhupada always gives, it's the sun, the sunshine, and of course the presiding deity of the sun. So you could say, let the sun in, but you're actually not letting the sun in, you're letting the sunshine. So the sunshine is the energy of the sun. Got it? So they're one and different simultaneously. So, but they're perfectly in sync. This is the point. Inseparable means perfectly in sync. The purport is that since the Swarup Shakti, Shakti Mam, that means Krishna's internal energy and Krishna are inseparable, non-different, or they constitutionally non-different because their only distinction is their constitutional relationship as Vishaya and Ashraya. the enjoyer and the enjoyed. So, Vishaya means the enjoyer, but it also means, the object of devotion to be served, the object of service, and Ashraya means uh, basically the shelter of devotion. That's what Ashraya means, the shelter. Therefore, even though you were Atmaram, Atmaram means self-sufficient about Krishna, your attachment, or taking pleasure in the self, sorry, your attachment for me is proper. See how long this is. In the Vishnu Purana, 1.8.15 is stated, and Nijayava Sagad Jaganmata Vishnu Shrir Adapayani Yata Savragato Vishnus Tatayaveyam Tivijotama. O best of the Brahmins, Lord Vishnu's Swarup Shakti is the eternal mother of the universe. She is never separated from Vishnu. Just as Lord Vishnu is present everywhere, his Swarup Shakti, Mahalakshmi, is also present everywhere. Also in the Vishnu Purana 1.9.143, it's stated, Devatve Divadehyam Manushatve Jamanushi Vishnorde Hanu Rupam Vai Karotye Shat Anastanu. When the Lord appears as a demigod, she, the goddess of fortune, takes the form of a demigoddess, and when he appears as a human being, she takes a human-like form. Thus she assumes a body corresponding to that accepted by Lord Vishnu in order to assist in his pastimes. So in other words, whenever Krishna appears in any of his various incarnations, Lakshmi, or Krishna Swarup, which is the Swarup Shakti, appears with Krishna simultaneously. So I think we'll go to the end. This is quite a long purport. It's giving more evidence for the points that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was making. So otherwise we'd spend the next week on this purport, which is quite long. Phew. It is quite long. Let's see if we can get to the end of the purport. Huh. Wow. They'll probably spend the next week or two. Oh, there we go. Next verse. Okay. She thus took the lotus feet of the Lord in her heart, and in deep meditation departed to the bank of the Ganges. I cannot describe Mother Sachi's grief. Even wood melted on hearing her cry. Since I am unable to narrate such distressful pastimes, I have described them only in brief. All the devotees were grief-stricken on hearing about Lakshmi's disappearance, and they duly performed her last rites. After staying in East Bengal for some time, the Lord desires a return home. When the people of East Bengal heard the Lord was returning home, they brought various gifts and wealth according to their capacity. They happily gave the Lord gold, silver, water pots, asanas, colorful blankets, various clothing, and whatever other fine items they had in their homes. Lord Gauranga glanced mercifully at everyone as he accepted their gifts. After taking leave from them, Lord Gauranga happily started for home. So tomorrow we're going to talk about what happened when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got home and he discovered that Lakshmi had left this world. Of course, that's external. Internally, we understand that Lakshmi went to join Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a very, very heavy story. Very, very heavy. And she left, replica body there, but actually she was with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all the time in a prakata, or unmanifest form. Unmanifest to our eyes, but of course manifest to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let's allow you this very, very heavy story. So anyway, for those of you who want to ask questions, you got a few minutes. You can raise your hand. I'm allowing you to unmute yourselves. So does anybody have any questions? You can raise your hand, unmute yourself, or you can, what else can you do? Type in the text window if you like. Questions? Going once? No one has any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah,
Please
go
accept
ahead.
my obeisances. I was wondering, I feel like we never hear about besides losing a taste for chanting and Krishna consciousness in general, that we never hear the repercussions of offenses. And I wondered if they're all kind of like that you get a shorter life. Um, that one stressed me out.
um, Generally, the repercussion for offenses is that you get a shorter spiritual life. Uh, I've seen sometimes the people who commit offenses physically they appear to live, but they're as good as dead. So because they lose their taste and they may become offenders. Like we have this story about Ramchandra Puri, who advised his spiritual master and offended his spiritual master, and then he offended Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by criticizing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He just went on to commit more offenses, and then he lost his taste. I mean, to me, that's worse than death. I mean, death is preferable because, next life you just become Krishna conscious again, or you go back to Godhead. But to lose your taste, I mean, to just be chanting the holy name and just have absolutely no taste, for it to be like dry as eating cardboard, then that's really bad. Terrible. So, I mean, that's actually the result. So, don't worry. Don't commit offenses. Whatever else you do, don't commit offenses and continue to follow Krishna consciousness. The offenses, of course, there's offenses in the holy name, which are listed, the 10 offenses, actually 11 offenses, which we're not going to go through right now. And there's also the offense against the holy Dham, there's deity worship, seva aparada, there's dhamma aparada. So one just has, the main thing is not you should become a nervous wreck by committing offenses, but you should be alert as best you can to guard against offenses. I mean, what can you do? What can you do? It's not that you're supposed to get paranoid. Just, oh my God, am I committing offenses? Uh, ooh, someone wrote me a letter. They had me appear in a dream. Hope it wasn't a nightmare. But they really were fortunate because they had Srila Prabhupada, Sri Gauratai, and Sri Radharaman in a dream. So that's Ajay Krishna Das, Radharaman. So I wish I had Radharaman appear to me in a dream. I guess got to accept more qualified disciples. I said, phew, that's a heavy warning. So I would take, the shortening of one's spiritual life to be much more serious than the shortening of one's physical life. I mean, this life is a spot life anyway. We just have a short time here before we leave. So, anybody else have a question about what we went over today in class? Oh, Gopal, I see your
Please accept my
name.
obeisances for the good day.
So, what's the question?
So, regarding offenses, due to ruffian background and lack of training growing up, sometimes we may commit offenses unknowingly. And because Vaishnavas are so kind and merciful and humble, especially humble, and they don't take offense, how are we to know that we committed an offense when Vaishnavas are so humble, they don't actually take offense or inform you, hey, this was an offense? How do we correct our ruffian behavior?
Well, I think Krishna reveals it to us.
Mm.
We just wonder why it's hard to chant or why you don't have such a taste, and then you look in your own heart. I mean, really, it's revealed to you. It's not that Krishna, you do something and you're unaware of it, and then Krishna doesn't tell you about it. Krishna Krishna gives you the result of that offense in such a way to help you correct yourself. Just like
Oh, fantastic.
karma. I mean, we've often talked about this before, that karma is not just punishment. Karma is a reaction that is given to you in such a way to help you rectify your consciousness, rectify your behavior. So, in the same way, offense reactions or reactions to offenses are given to you in such a way so that they'll help you. It'll help you. And, especially if someone gets leprosy or something. Like, there's stories about that. Oh my God. Of devotees who committed, like Gopal Chapala, he committed an offense to Srivas Thakur and, tried to frame him in a certain way, as worshipping Durga. And then Gopal Chapala got a leprosy. Oh my God. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wasn't going to save him until Gopal Chapala took shelter of the lotus feet of Lord of Srivas Thakur. He had to beg for forgiveness. So, of course, we don't want to get leprosy. Oh, we got to be careful. Oh my God. So, of course, if you're becoming old like me, it's not old age that's due to offenses. Maybe my kidney stones were. So, anyway, Krishna will give us a message so we'll understand. Just look, try to be introspective, see what we're doing, see what our actions are, see our attitude towards others, and see, is my attitude towards that person appropriate? Anger just wells up in our hearts. Envy just wells up in our hearts. It's like, boom, like that. So is it appropriate? I mean, if you had to get angry or commit offenses, do it to your computer or do it to your mobile phone or something inanimate. That's not offensive.
What
So
about
on that happy note,
offenses of
go ahead.
neglect? What if we have no attitude towards someone? They actually deserve respect, but we neglect them because we don't understand by training how glorious they may be.
Well, then, special dispensation, or you go to Brahman effulgence,
Oh,
because you can be neutral, where you can be neutral eternally.
really?
Anyway, Krishna, you'll understand eventually. I mean, Krishna will actually reveal. The only reason for giving you the result of offense is to teach you a lesson, not just to make you suffer. Krishna's not just a
Thank you.
mean old, whatever. He doesn't want to make you suffer. He wants to rectify you. He's into restorative justice rather than retributive justice. Okay, not happy.